Hello, everyone, and thank you for having me this year in this fifth Compla. I'm so glad to be here again and talking about Guarani. It's always passionate to talk about Guarani for an audience that is in Paraguay, and it's somehow I know will be interested in it. So, this is the introduction for my MA dissertation, which is about Guarani question marks, and this is like the base of my linguistic curiosity that led me to do this analysis. Question particles in Guarani are really a question, and now we will see why we are saying that. So Guarani is an agglutinative language, and it's fundamental for our morphosyntax in Paraguay. Why? Because for centuries has been alongside Spanish, developing their own path, but at the same time um, entangled together. And I want to explore a unique use of question particles in Guarani, which is, we know grammarly, we know them, but what is beyond that in other linguistic categories? So the background for me is it comes actually from Spanish. So in Spanish in Paraguay, we will have something like this example from this is from Barreiro. He he has an analysis of Rua Bastos um, um, literature where he uses Guarani mixed with Spanish or Guarani in between his work. And this is a simple question, ¿Qué picó? Which is just what plus a question mark from Guarani. This has nothing to do with Spanish and it has no meaning added. But for us in Paraguay, has some pragmatic meanings that nobody has ever um, wonder or elicit specifically. So my question was, or my question still is, what is the meaning of these particles when we use them in Spanish? So going to Guarani, the question still remains. What is the real meaning behind these question marks in Guarani? Are they just question marks really? So, um, as I said before, are they really just question marks? The objective of the article of this first part, is to study a paper written by Paz and Vidal in 2022. They are from Argentina. And I found it very interesting because they made a great job working with the real language, working with informants, working with people telling them what they thought about the language. So in these examples, baepiko, mabapikopea, reusepikotembiu. In these questions, we can see the usage of these articles, of these particles. Now the question is, can that particle pico be replaced by the other particle pa in all these sentences? This is the first question. Because according to the Academy of the Guarani language and many other traditional grammars that we find in Paraguay, they supposed to mean the same. So the second question is like, do they convey actually the same meaning? So if we say mava picopea or mava papea, are they really just the same question of who is that? That is something that we don't find in analysis in Paraguay. And these two authors were trying to discover. So here I just mentioned the official grammar of the Guarani language, written by the Academy of Guarani Language, and Crevauchain and Acosta grammar, many of them, like every edition, they also mention the same. And The idea of the question particles is just to show where the question is. As we have question marks, Guarani shouldn't use them because of this feature that they have lexically. This happens, for example, in languages like Japanese, in languages as Chinese. In Chinese here, we have very, very well documented the way they use the final particle ma to express question. But does that happen in Guarani? So in this paper that I analyzed from these two authors, they adopted a functional typological perspective, analyzing existing grammars and research. Also, they also tried to understand like the Tupian languages in the zone, not just the Guarani, but also their relative languages, to understand the behavior of Guarani. And regarding to the data, they collected they collected the data from informants from Formosa, and they specific this very well because being collected the data from Formosa might be a little bit biased because these people Spanish will be probably better than their Guarani, so they might not be totally bilingual, or also they say that the situation in Formosa of regarding the language of Guarani is not as official as in other places, so there might be biased. So this is also another hint to give us the the lead to work on this as us being Paraguayans, native speakers of Guarani. So according to their data, these two questions, the Karuma Pico and the Karuma Pa, do not convey the same meaning. So what they argue is that Pico states a question with some information that the speaker already have. So the Karuma Pico is more of a confirmation and not a real question. Whereas Rekaruma Pa is a real question of not knowing the information. And in these three examples from their data, they also shown that the data can the utterances can be made in different ways. So Baesha Anderera, since it has already in Baesha, we don't need the particles. Baesha Panderera, the speaker requires precise information. And Baesha Piconderera, the speaker requires precise information and so shows some degree of awareness. They do not show though how they explain these nuances in this information, which is what I will try to do in my future thesis. So they were more relying on the informant's thoughts and their informant's beliefs on what they thought they were saying. So it was more like self-report service. So we still need to do some syntactic and pragmatic analysis here on to see what these utterances really mean. So these authors, as I said before, argue that even though both pa and pico are question markers, and more of them are associated with polar questions, and we learn as Paraguayans, we learn that we can say both are okay. They stated that pa indicates a complete unawareness, and the pico, it has some confirmation or validation meaning. So this is very interesting, and I want to think about this as all the Guaraniologos in Paraguay to see like how can we analyze this and to make such important analysis and discover in our own country. So just as a final example, they stated this one, De Picorembo e Guarani Nemembupe, and their translation that they gave was, or the interpretation that they gave was, did you by any chance teach your child Guarani? But we can also understand this as if we change the order of Pico, we can understand that this is it you that teaches Guarani to your child? Sort of like the, 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 the interpretation they gave. But we can also understand if we change the Pico at the end, did you teach your child Guarani? It's emphasizing surprise. So when we study syntax or pragmatics, we know that if there is a change of placement, they usually convey something, some different information, some different interpretation. So this is something that we have to think about, and I hope I can come with some conclusions at the end of my master's journey. So thank you very, very much for this opportunity to talk about this, and I hope you enjoy the other conferences as well.